So here we are this morning. It's a Saturday morning. I'm down in Williamstown in a cafe, and I've got the pleasure of catching up with James Dalton, who is the principal from Neil Dalton Consulting. I've known James for a long time, but I actually knew his dad prior to that, and Neil used to be the trust accountant for my real estate agency. So what I wanted to do now, and we're actually both joined, we're foundation members of the Real Estate Resources Group, which is a collective of real estate business service providers that have come together to try and help the industry both throughout Australia and also New Zealand. So welcome, James. Good morning.
Good morning, Michael. Thanks for inviting me along to Williamstown this morning.
Well, I'm in a cafe and I've got some people in the background, and they're probably looking at me going, "What the hell is that guy doing?" I've got noise going on in the background, so hopefully you're all okay. But I just want to have a quick chat with you this morning. And as you know, from my side of things as a consultant, I spend a lot of time on making sure businesses are compliant, but probably none more than you. So I always look to the auditor for guidance. And so tell me a little bit, if you can, maybe just break this simply right down. What is an auditor, and what is your role within a business from a real estate point of view, from both sales and property management? What is it that you do?
Okay, sure. Well, let's start with firstly, what is a trust account auditor? So,
excellent.
So under the various legislations that exist in the various jurisdictions of Australia, a trust account auditor is effectively someone who has an accountancy qualification, but more importantly, they're a member of typically the three big industry associations, which is Chartered Accountant, CPA, or the Institute of Public Accountants. So if you don't have a postgraduate qualification like one of those, then you can't actually be a trust account auditor within the real estate industry. So that's effectively the bar, and anyone who wants to act in this role in the industry has to have a postgraduate qualification from one of those organisations.
So why wouldn't an agency just simply use their general accountant, the one that's looking after their BAS and their PAYG and their tax planning? Why wouldn't somebody just say, why do I need to have an external real estate trust accountant auditor and not just my normal? So maybe.
That's a really good question, Michael. It's a question that I get asked quite often, particularly by people that are coming to me with, potentially to be a new client. And best way to answer that is an accountant who works for the business is providing a series of services to that business on a monthly basis. Okay, so when you're conducting an audit, you're actually providing an opinion on the business, and that opinion may not actually be an opinion that the client actually wants. So let's talk about the opinion. So in a trust account audit, there are two types of opinions. There's an unqualified opinion and a qualified opinion. Now, an unqualified opinion is a clean audit opinion where everything is okay and there are no breaches. A qualified audit opinion is an opinion where there are breaches of the legislation, and those breaches are set out in the audit. Now, if you're the accountant for that business and you're providing services to that business, you have a conflict of interest because you're actually receiving money for those services. But if you do the audit and then you issue a qualified audit opinion, you may be under pressure from the client to actually change that to an unqualified opinion because you have that conflict of interest. I think we all have a role to play in the industry. Accountants provide a tremendous support for all of our businesses in the industry, but the trust account auditor's role is to be independent.
Sure. And
to be totally free of any conflicts.
Okay, but I guess the question there, James, and not to put you on the spot, is that you're also paid. So
yes.
So there's a fee there as well. So it's not as though you're
Absolutely.
a government service, so you're also paid.
That's right. I'm also paid as well. But from my perspective, if I need to issue a qualified audit opinion, and I do issue them from time to time, there have been circumstances, you know, in the past where a client didn't necessarily agree with my qualified opinion.
Yes.
And ultimately in the end, you know, the client can choose whether to continue with me as their auditor or go with someone else.
Sure.
As a result of that. In the end, I have to be true, or any auditor has to be true to the legislation and to the ethics that they're bound by from their industry organisation. Yeah. So from my perspective, you know, it's really important. I value those ethics, and they're important to me. Yeah. And in the end, you know, if you lose a client along the way, then that might happen. But what I would say is this: the really good auditors work with their clients. They're very practical. Yes. They identify issues, and they work with the client to assist them to fix those issues. And from the government's perspective, they're okay with having a qualified audit. What they want to see is they want to see action. They want to see a client actually fix those issues. And if a client fixes those issues, then government will be more than satisfied.
Perfect. Mate, to simplify it, the way that's a very eloquent explanation. I'm probably a little bit simpler in my approach to when a client asks me, why don't I just use the accountant rather than using that? And I say quite simply is that your accountant doesn't understand the legislation. The accountant isn't all around the real estate component. So I try and, I'm probably not giving the right information, but I simply say, try and get the right person to fit the role that you need. And if your accountant is an expert in real estate law, legislation, trust account law, if your accountant is an expert there, then by all means use them. If not, then let's bring in an external or an independent auditor.
I think you're making a really good point there. I think that, as you know, Michael, my business is solely in real estate. Yes. I don't operate in any other industry. So I have, you know, I'm fortunate in that I have deep industry knowledge. And my father was previously the CEO of the Estate Agents Board back in the day. Yep. So, you know, I have the benefit of all that knowledge. And you're right, many of the accountants, they're more generalists. They work across industries rather than specific to an industry. So your point's well made.
Fantastic. Mate, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I've really enjoyed the chat. Hopefully that if anyone wants to get in touch with you, it's Neil Dalton Consulting.com.au. Is that the website?
That's right, neildaltonconsulting.com.au.
Excellent. Thanks, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day.